Hello, welcome back to the Tour de France Femmes. Some great racing. Now I did just have to go make a decision. There was probably the biggest bike crash I've ever seen. Maybe that one that last year in the Tour de France where the fans stepped out with a sign saying hi to her grandparents. That wiped out a whole bunch of the men's peloton in the Tour de France last year. So I will go with this is the biggest non-fan caused wreck I've ever seen. And so I debated, but my general rule, although I've kind of broken it, I think I've broken every rule between this race and the men's Tour de France that I had ever established for myself. But, as I've said, rules are made to be broken. So, but, I was debating painting it. Of course, one of the parts of it was, there were probably 100 riders down on the ground. It was insane. But in the end, clearly, well, not clearly, but you'll see if you go to gregleach.com and look for the gallery Tour de France and Tour de France Femmes 2022, you'll be able to see all the paintings, and you'll notice there isn't a painting of a giant wreck. So this is, here I'll cheat and look. This is Lily Williams, who rides for Human Powered Health, back at her team car. Has most likely made a bike change and has dropped back to the team car to try to get her something sorted. What's crazy is so in this image will become a little more apparent as it goes along. But the mechanic here is leaning out of the car window. So this rider has been down in the crash and now needs to chase back onto the peloton, and so doesn't want to stop and do this repair because they're already struggling to get back to the peloton. So sorry, I'm trying to figure something out and draw at the same time. This is a bit of a challenging image just to get right. So where was I? Oh, so she's got to get back to the race and has already been held up, delayed by crashing, and has a long chase ahead of her. So stopping and letting this mechanic do this is just time she doesn't really want to spend, nor does the team want to spend. Of course, I watched this now. He's working on the seat post, and but I've actually seen mechanics doing this at fairly high speed, and they're working on either the brakes, although now without the rim brakes, that's a little less common. But, or worse yet, down in around the derailleur, trying to adjust the derailleur while the rider and the car are doing, 20 miles an hour, 25 miles an hour. And of course, think about that. You've got some spokes spinning rather quickly, and actually nowadays most of the spokes are bladed, so they're not just a simple round spoke. So you're literally sticking your fingers into a fan when you try to do this repair. So this is another rider. I can't see her number who has had issues as well. Like I said, there was probably 100 bikes on the ground. It looks like one of the Movistar riders, I believe it was Emma Norsgaard, is going to be out of the race. They were looking at her shoulder, which of course is a pretty common bike wreck injury. You know, your inclination is to put your arm out. And when you do that, it's very easy to, you know, slam your arm down and break your collarbone. So she was certainly, they were looking at her elbow and her arm, but it looked like, and they, you know, they've left, we've gotten back to the race now. So at this point, they haven't announced whether or not she abandoned the race, but I can't imagine she's going to be able to stay in. So now I'm just working, and again, you know, we're trying to convey speed, we're trying to convey mood, you know, so I've got this, you know, diminishing perspective, a little bit of a forced perspective to show both depth, you know, depth in the image. Now this is a little tighter than some that I've painted, but now of course she's also torn her shorts, almost revealingly so. And for those who don't normally watch racing, you can't, there are no timeouts, there are no, you know, let me get myself sorted and let me get, you know, no injury timeouts or anything. So lost time is lost time, whether you've wrecked or whatever's happened. So you know, she didn't have time to change shorts, and I don't really think they even throw shorts into the team car. And it could well be that she's wearing a skin suit, so it's all one piece. And you know, you're out in the public, you're out on the road. There's not, like there is in football, a little place to go change in. And I mean either football, American or European. So, and I have done paintings in the past, and if you, I know in the men's race, I have painted riders back at the doctor's vehicle. So not only is there an ambulance following the race, but there's a whole medical team in at least one, I don't know how many vehicles there are in the men's race, in the women's race, but there's probably at least 2 medical cars, and riders can drop back to the medical car after they've had a wreck and get bandaged up on the fly, just as this, Lily has dropped back to her team car to get a repair on the fly. So now I'm trying to work. It is really, you know, wish the men would take a page from the women's peloton and come up with more interesting jerseys. EF Education is riding the same jersey in both races. Theirs is pretty good. Although, interestingly, having said that, the FDJ men's team's jersey, I think, is superior to the FDJ women's team jersey. But, you know, some of that's just personal opinion. So I'm just trying to finish laying this jersey in, but I really do like these rainbow also UAE, both of the men's team is a very classic jersey. Good looking, but very classic in its concept. And the women's team is also another sort of rainbow-esque, although they gave your eye a break and put in I think it's one white sleeve. So now, so I just wanted to get that in. So I've sort of broken my rules about going warm to cool. But see, with these wet blends, once you start on it, you need to sort of follow it through. So there's a lot of these rainbow jerseys that require wet and wet blend. So sorry, just taking a moment to think where I want to go next. That was quite a belch you may have just heard from my dog. So if I turned the camera around, you would see got one dog asleep on the chair behind me, and the other dog is keeping guard at the front door. So, if a squirrel runs by, you'll be hearing a lot of barking. So it's interesting, they've got this rainbow jersey in a blue car. Solid blue car. Well, whatevs. So there are, it's now Ineos Grenadiers, but, well, I guess they did it. They used to have a bright blue stripe on their kit, and then they just continued that onto their car. And so I think the first time they did it was when Garrett Thomas, who finished third this year, they changed the stripe when he was winning the race. So the yellow jersey, they changed the stripe to a yellow. And actually they, for the end of the tour, the last day of the tour, they also changed their jerseys to have a yellow stripe. So apparently the rules are, and it applies this year too, to the women's race, you're allowed to have a special kit. You can change your jersey once. So SD Works will not be able to do it. Should they win the yellow jersey, not be able to do a celebration jersey. Now, this is going to be a little different in the women's race this year than the men's tradition, because unlike the men, there will not be a promenade day. They are going to, the last day is a mountaintop finish. So unlike coming onto the Champs-Élysées and sort of having this grand processional stage and then the sprinters fight it out for stage honors, they will be racing up until the last minute, the last second of the stage. So there would be, there's no guarantee. Nobody's going to switch their jersey to celebrate having won the tour, because that would be tempting fate. Should you try that one, the cycling gods are gonna smack you down. So should you dare to say, oh, I'm going to win this stage, and then you're finishing on a mountain, win the stage, but win the tour, and then you're coming up on a mountain finish, and you could bonk, you could simply run out of energy. And now there you are in your special yellow jersey. Your whole team is in a jersey, and you have to have the embarrassment of going, oh, well, no, actually, we didn't win the tour. So, I mean, you probably won't see. So, where I was going with that, sorry. So, SD Works. One of their riders, Amy Peters, Dutch spelling of that name, had a horrible crash and serious concussion, brain injury issues. And she's also has designed jerseys for, for the marketplace. I don't know what company actually has her jerseys, but anyway, so she's designed jerseys. So SD Works, for the opening day, and there is a painting of these, of one of the jerseys, as a fundraiser and as an honoring to their teammate who couldn't race, right now can barely walk. They wore her jersey, one of her designs, which I thought was just a wonderful thing to do. And I'm sure now they're selling that jersey to help raise money. They had done a special t-shirt, and if you contributed, so there's a GoFundMe. And for the first 100 people that contributed to it when they first started it, they got this t-shirt. And that, or first 100 people that contributed some amount of money, fairly large amount of money. And happily, those 100 t-shirts with that $200, let's say, donation were gone in about 25 minutes. So all of us cyclists know that we are but a moments away from disaster every time we go out on the bike. I'm just seeing a little problem here with this roof line. There we go. That looks a little more car-like. So, I see I didn't title this again. I think I get so excited about showing you all what's happening and getting started on the painting and telling you what I'm doing that I forget. Call it adjusting on the fly. I can get away with that because, as you saw, I painted that car pretty early in the process, so it's nice and dry, so it didn't mess up my pen. So again, I've told you earlier, but you can see all of the cycling art at theartofcycling.blogspot.com, and even more of my artwork at gregleach.com, unusual spelling, Greigliach, the I being the unusual part of that, really. I work in the restaurant industry and wear a name tag, and I always have to explain my name to people. And one of them is, it's very convenient. I need to be found on the internet, and with that name spelling, I would say, there isn't anybody else who spells their name that way. But it's actually a fairly common Welsh surname. I did actually meet a Welshman who told me my name is pronounced Greek. Yeah, I don't think so. So here I just need to get my road color done here, which is the same black color, but I usually throw a little, so it's actually a deep blue-black tone. A lot of water in it. And then as you can see, I'm having the strokes follow the direction of the road just in case there's any streaking. Of course, my desk and the tripod are getting in the way here. So, excuse me while I shift that a little bit just so I can get over here. So see, you get these little streaks, and like I say, if they appear, they will help inform these perspective lines. So, you know, I didn't talk about like a vanishing point, that everything goes back. So out here somewhere over here is the point where all these lines converge. If you haven't done it, go out and look. Well, make sure a train isn't coming, but go out and look at, stand on the tracks or stand in a roadway, long straight stretch of road, and you'll see that the road appears to come together. So that's the perspective. And now I'm realizing that I need to, I didn't move this up out of the, I don't want to have the shadows of those push pins. So there you go, that's the piece. Be sure to check it all out, and always, you know, want to hear your comments. Give me a thumbs up if you like it. If you don't like it, I'm a big boy, I can take the thumbs down. You want to give me a negative comment? Give me a negative comment. I do want to hear what people have to say. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you give a follow so you can see every videos. This race goes through the last day of July, and then I'll take a break, get back into my studio to do my larger scale work, and then it'll be on to the World Championships for cycling. And that's mid to late September. Thank you so much.